Yes, you read that title right. Carlos Santana, no, not that one, is one of the most entertaining players in baseball right now, and he has been for a while. After 15 years, 7 different teams and counting, over 300 home runs, and countless feats of elite plate discipline, postseason heroics, and heartfelt moments, Carlos Santana has put together quite the career. And perhaps the most exciting part is that at age 38, he doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. He's putting together a resume of accomplishments that we just don't see as much anymore, and today, I want to go through it all. To do so, let's start from the beginning. One of my favorite parts of Santana's career story is that despite his long career, he was not a top prospect from the get-go. As some of you know from my recent 2008 trade deadline video, I worked super hard on it, so go watch it if you haven't, please, thank you. Santana wasn't even a top 10 prospect in the Dodgers system when he was traded mid-season for Casey Blake. As soon as Santana joined the organization, he began to blossom as a dual threat of proficient plate discipline and raw power at the plate. He was the MVP of the California League at High A in 2008, then the MVP of the Eastern League at Double A in 2009. By 2010, he was the top prospect in Cleveland's system, getting his first MLB at-bats for the Indians. You probably know Santana as a longtime first baseman at this point, but early on in his career, you'd probably find him behind the dish more often than not. A big reason for this was Carlos Santana's favorite player growing up, Victor Martinez, who was also a switch-hitting slugger like himself. Santana did don number 41 on his uniform in V-Mart's honor. Santana appeared to be a natural behind the dish at throwing runners out, catching 30% of would-be base stealers 3 seasons in a row in the minor leagues. Once he reached the big leagues, he hit very well in a near 50-game sample as a rookie in 2010. Of players with at least 100 plate appearances that year, he maintained the highest walk rate in the league at an absurd 19.3% despite being a first-year player. I feel like the trope we always hear with first-year players is that they get swing-happy once they find any shred of success, but for Santana, it was the exact opposite. He was succeeding because he wasn't swinging. But even with his on-field success early on, Santana faced a lot of injury-related adversity early in his career. He underwent surgery for a broken hamate bone in the prior offseason before his rookie campaign, and then during that rookie campaign, he was involved in a collision at home plate that resulted in left knee surgery that abruptly ended a promising rookie season. Usually when a rookie player gets injured twice in a year's span, that sends a bad omen for the rest of their career, but for Santana, he would remarkably go on to play at least 150 games in 8 of the next 9 seasons, not hitting the injured list for a non-concussion related ailment until 2022. That's 12 years without getting put on the 15-day IL at all. He's the only player in this time frame to accomplish this. In his sophomore season, his power began to come around as he hit 27 home runs, which led all full-time catchers that season. He set a club record for home runs hit by a switch hitter in Cleveland's franchise history in just his second season. From 2010 to 2014, he maintained an .809 OPS, which was third among all catchers in this window with at least 300 games played behind the dish, trailing only a pair of MVP winners in Buster Posey and Joe Mauer. His 98 home runs was also second only to Brian McCann, the only catcher to eclipse 100 in this 5-year window. One of those home runs specifically sticks out to me as special. In 2013, Santana met with a young boy named Nico Lanzarada prior to the game. Lanzarada, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at 8 months old, loved the Cleveland Indians, and Carlos Santana was his favorite player. It was a dream come true, surely, but the kid had one additional request for Santana upon meeting him. He asked for a home run that night, and Santana promised him he'd get it done. He wasted 0 time too, depositing one into the outfield seats in the very first inning, making a lifelong memory for a lifelong fan. And even 10 years after the fact, these two still have a special connection. Santana was constantly spreading the love. He was an infectious personality, whether it was to fans, teammates, or most importantly, his family. It's hard to get this far into a career without certain rituals and superstitions contributing to the success. For Carlos Santana, his routine was a wholesome one, as he, quote, gave a kiss to his 2 daughters and wife every day before he comes to the stadium. Cleveland saw the potential of Santana's skills as sustainable long-term assets, as well as his value as a clubhouse presence even as a young player. They wisely inked him to a 5-year extension in 2012 worth only $21 million. But after the extension was signed, Cleveland could only muster 1 playoff appearance from 2012 to 2015. Regardless of the team's persistent mediocrity to that point, Santana was known for being the most vibrant, joyful personality in a young Cleveland clubhouse. As his former manager Terry Francona once remarked, the only way to make him angry is to tell him that he's not playing, and I love that. But come 2016, Cleveland's core began to take shape. Francisco Lindor finished runner-up in AL Rookie of the Year voting a season prior. Corey Kluber won his first Cy Young Award, establishing himself as a legitimate ace. Jose Ramirez had upgraded himself from a utility bonus piece to a corner infield threat. At the center of it all, though, was Carlos Santana, who was about to put together his best season yet in 2016. In his 7th season and penultimate year before his contract expired, Carlos Santana put up then career highs in home runs, runs batted in, and OPS, putting together the strongest season of all Cleveland hitters that year. On their ensuing run to Game 7 of the World Series, Santana clubbed 3 playoff home runs in his first deep postseason run. He followed it up with another solid year in 2017, moving from the designated hitter spot to first base after the team's acquisition of Edwin Encarnacion. For a while, Santana had been floating around the diamond. His catching days ended in 2014. He struggled to play consistent defense at third base and had mostly DH'd in 2016. But as an everyday first baseman for the first time in 2017, Santana ended up finishing as a finalist for a Gold Glove, thriving defensively as an infielder for the first time in his career, and showcasing just how much more he was capable of on both sides of the diamond. From 2011 to 2017, Carlos Santana was one of just 4 players to play in over 140 games and managed an OPS plus above league average in every single season, an impressive feat of both health and consistency. Not to mention, he was still drawing more walks than basically anybody in the league. His 689 free passes in this massive window trailed only Joey Votto for the most in baseball, and when we stretch it across the entire decade, it's the same 2 guys at the top yet again. But for the first time in his playing days, Carlos Santana would not don a Cleveland uniform in 2017. I gotta quickly interrupt today's video from a new room to tell you about a new sponsor, and that's Miracle Sheets. I don't know about you guys, but in the summertime, I feel like half the time when I'm asleep, I wake up in the middle of the night because I'm too damn hot. Using silver-infused fabrics designed by NASA, yes, that NASA, Miracle Sheets are designed to keep you as comfortable as possible while you're asleep, resulting in a better night's sleep every night. Go to trymiracle.com/jolly right now to try their sheets today, and whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use promo code JOLLY at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20% on top of all of that. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the action. He signed with the Philadelphia Phillies on a 3-year deal worth $60 million, which surprised many people. To his credit, Santana kept up his production, drawing the second most walks in the league at 110, trailing only future Philly Bryce Harper. In the last 10 years of play, there have been 22 different players in 40 unique seasons to achieve a year with over 100 walks, an impressive feat on account of both plate discipline and amassing plate appearances as well. In this window, Santana owns 4 of those seasons, or 10% of the seasons total. While Carlos Santana posted his usual impressive offensive numbers, the team also thrived around him. As late as July 26th, the Phillies were 14 games over 500 and in first place of the NL East division. Santana also made time to hit a home run for an ailing fan once again, fulfilling a promise made to 13-year-old Anthony Garcia, who was battling leukemia. That's right, guys, he did this twice. I can't even imagine the pressure of accepting this request, let alone fulfilling it both times. This dude's a legend. But a nasty 8-20 month of September derailed any hopes of a playoff push for Philly, landing them with a losing record on the season. Santana's tenure here is mostly remembered for one specific moment in the clubhouse. In the midst of a brutal 9-game losing streak in the late 2018, the Phillies were swept in 4 games at Truist Park, solidifying a division victory for the Atlanta Braves. Many Phillies players began to concede the season even though the games weren't even over, and Carlos Santana looked to hold his younger teammates accountable after discovering that they were playing Fortnite during one of the losses. He did so like he did most good things, with the baseball bat in his hands, smashing the clubhouse television into smithereens to make an example.
That's it. You're grounded.
You can't ground me. I'm a grown man.
You're grounded!
His rationale was valid, stating that the team had lost, quote, too many games, and that certain Phillies, quote, weren't worried about it or respecting their teammates, coaches, staff, or front office. Philadelphia's response to that was trading Santana away in the offseason after just 1 season on his deal, after a series of trades took place that landed Gene Segura in Philly, Edwin Encarnacion and JP Crawford in Seattle, and Yandy Diaz in Tampa Bay. Carlos Santana was somehow sent back home to Cleveland. I don't know how to sort out all these trades either. It looks like he landed in the right place though at the time. He responded by having his best season of his career, with career highs in his triple slash line as well as home runs and runs batted in. His insane .397 on-base percentage ranked 8th in the big leagues that season, and he was one of only 2 players that year to draw a walk for every strikeout recorded, alongside Alex Bregman. This culminated in his first All-Star Game selection after 1,356 games as a big leaguer to that point. It snapped a stretch of what was the 5th most games played by any active player, with 0 All-Star nods.
Thank you so much. Hello, fan. Thank you so much for sending me to the AllStar Game 2019 election. Let's rock the vote, Cleveland.
He became the first Cleveland first baseman to start the game since Jim Thome did so. And it was especially heartfelt considering that the festivities took place in Cleveland that year, with Santana participating in the home run derby in front of his home crowd as well. At the end of it all, he ranks 6th all-time in Cleveland's team history with 216 home runs, and 2nd all-time only behind Jim Thome with nearly 900 free passes. But the closing of the 2019 season brought upon a new stage in Santana's career, one that he's more recognized for now. I like to think of Carlos Santana currently as baseball's mercenary for hire, a patient, slugging first baseman with a decent glove that has been bouncing around on one-year deals from team to team and producing pretty much everywhere he goes. Since 2020, Santana has been a Guardian, a Royal, a Mariner, a Pirate, a Brewer, and now a Twin this year, and he's set to hit free agency once again this offseason. At every spot, he's been around league average or better, which may not seem impressive, but you can't find many players in their late 30s still hanging around in what is probably the toughest version of baseball to play throughout the entire history of MLB. Since 2021, he leads all players aged 35 or older in home runs with 79, better than marks set by Justin Turner and Andrew McCutchen, players that were multi-time All-Stars and levels above him in the 2010s. Longevity is Santana's greatest asset, and we need to appreciate it more. It's the kind of skill that doesn't get the respect it deserves amongst major league veterans. He's also made a habit of hitting insanely clutch home runs everywhere he goes. On May 23, 2021, he smacked a clutch walk-off 2-run home run off Michael Fulmer and the Tigers to get the Kansas City Royals back to a 500 record. On July 10, 2022, Carlos Santana, now a Mariner, hit a 2-run home run off Adam Simber that gave Seattle a late lead over Toronto. They'd win that game 6-5, which was their 8th win in a row in a streak that would extend to 14 games overall, a key reason in Seattle making the playoffs. Speaking of Seattle in the playoffs, they faced the Blue Jays yet again in the wildcard round. Santana's 3-run home run was vital in sparking the Mariners' stunning comeback that resulted in a series victory, the team's first playoff series win in over 20 years. Fast forward a year, on June 30th, 2023, Carlos Santana is now a Pittsburgh Pirate, and he pimped the hell out of this walk-off 2-run home run against the Milwaukee Brewers, a team he'd actually be playing for by season's end. He ended his trot around the bases with maybe my favorite walk-off celebration ever. These are just a few examples of old man Carlos Santana being clutch as hell. He's had his fair share of moments for the Twins so far this year too. His combination of raw power and elite batter's eye not only made him a joy to watch, but has also aided him as his career has continued on into his late 30s. And now, in 2024, at age 38, he's on pace to play a full season yet again, and he's putting up his best offensive numbers in 5 years while he's at it. He's truly becoming an ageless wonder. We're all underrating Carlos Santana just a little bit, and we need to appreciate him while he's still playing every day. I hope this video did even just a little bit to sway you into having him become your favorite player, because for me, I'm checking in every night to see what he does next. But that'll do it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.